All right. Can everyone see that okay? Excellent. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the summer Women Alternative Photography Group online meetup. Just so you know, we are recording. And the recording will be uploaded to the YouTube channel for any of the people who are joining online, or for anyone who like has any caring responsibilities or isn't able to join us today because of time difference. We do have a lot of people internationally, so thank you to those of you who are joining from different countries and at odd hours of the day. I really appreciate it. It's very great to have you here. So yeah, just so you know, if you are not wanting to be put on YouTube or don't want to be recorded, then do feel free to just turn your videos off or change your name in case you don't want your name to be shown. That's up to you. Um, Welcome. It's so excited to have you here. This is our summer quarterly meetup. We do these, for anyone that is new, we do these kind of like every 3 months or so, so sort of following the academic sort of school year, I guess. Um, and the point of these is just kind of to get together as a community and sort of celebrate women in photography. I'm gonna just do this for a second. Oh, nope, that was not what I wanted to do. Uh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, just so you know, this is obviously a virtual space, and I can understand that a lot of times this can be kind of a difficult place to navigate. So I would love for you to engage in whichever way you can. So if you want to join on the chat, that's great. If you want to join via video or audio, that's also great. Whatever you feel comfortable with. If you don't want to contribute anything at all and you just want to sit back and listen, that is also really great as well. So whatever you feel comfortable with. If you'd like to share your pronouns, please do. That would be great. You don't have to, but whatever you feel comfortable with. And I understand if you need to kind of pop in and out, if you have like caring responsibilities or you have a dog barking at the door, which I will likely have at some point. So I completely understand if you need to pop in or out, that's totally fine. But just to be aware that if you are coming back in case someone is talking, just be aware if you're on mute or not. Um, the current way that I am displaying this does not allow me to change slides. How annoying. Um, just a second. I think my Zoom is being funny today. We were here. Okay, there we go. So yes, please be aware and mindful of the other people joining today's session with us today. And also, I don't think there'll be any trigger warnings in today's session, but in case there is anything that might be upsetting to you, then please take care of yourself. Do what you need to do. If you need to just pop out and leave, that's absolutely fine. Not a problem at all. Do what is best for you. And if you do have any concerns, feel free to like email me, and I can check those after today's session. But for anyone that is new who perhaps is joining us through the recording, or for any of you who have never been to a meeting before and don't know much about us, Women Alternative Photography Group is a feminist research project. So we're celebrating women, trans, and non-binary artists who are using alternative photographic processes. So we're kind of taking a really wide approach to what alternative photography is. So it can be anything from photograms to cyanotypes to lumen prints to all of the various different and wonderful explorations of the process. So we celebrate all of them here. And the main mission of Women Alternative Photography Group is to research and distribute new knowledge on these incredible processes and the artists that are using them. We're still very early on in the like as a community. It's only 2 years old, and I've been juggling working and doing my PhD at the same time. So it's we do sort of interviews, and we do Women Alternative Photography Group takeovers. We do conferences and symposiums. And obviously these online meetups so that we kind of can come together as a community. So that's a little bit about what we are. Today, we are going to have some introductions. We're going to talk about the upcoming interviews. We're going to do some community celebrations. And then there's a new section that I wanted to start today where we can kind of celebrate artists who inspire us. So hopefully you received the email that I sent out requesting for artist names of people who are inspiring you, or maybe you saw on the Instagram. So I've sort of gathered together some of those names to put together a little presentation so we can kind of celebrate and share knowledge on these incredible artists in case maybe some of them are people you may have never heard of before. And so hopefully this will be useful for your own research and your own art practice as well. So just to get started, if we could kind of introduce ourselves, if you want to say your name, where you're joining from, and what your favorite alt process is. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Ooh, there we go. So if you don't mind, if you feel comfortable, if I sort of say your name, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself. If you don't want to turn your video on, that's absolutely fine. Or if you just want to put it in the chat, that's good too. So Isabel, would you like to sort of share a little bit about you? Oh, you're in the chat. Okay, so you have, oh no, I'm sorry that you're not feeling very well. Have a bit of a fluey throat thing. That's no good. Is there anything you want to sort of introduce about yourself? What's your favorite process? Cool. Yeah, being sick is no fun. All right, so for those of you who are on Zoom, you like using Polaroid emulsion lift. Those are really cool. I enjoy Polaroid emulsion too. I haven't done it in a really long time. It's a very tricky thing to like get down because it can be very kind of finicky, but very cool. Okay, so Polaroid emulsion lift, excellent. And where are you joining from, Isabel? Did you say already? You're joining from the Netherlands. Excellent. Well, welcome. It's so excited to have you here. It's wonderful for you to join. And yes, Polaroid emulsion lifts are excellent. All right, moving on to Karen, if you would like to share.
Hi, all. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yep. Okay. So I'm Karen. My pronouns are she, her. I'm joining from South Carolina in the United States. So, like, southeast corner, we're in a heat wave right now. So, I'm happy to be inside in some air conditioning. Um, so I was a painter before, and then I discovered cyanotype. And so cyanotype and a lot of botanical toning. And then I've recently come to love gum bichromate printing. And so I'm working with gum and just like flirting with anthotype right now.
I love that, flirting with anthotypes. If you're going to flirt with anything, anthotypes are the things to be flirting with.
Yeah,
I love an antho.
it's a good
Very.
like summer romance novel, flirting with anthotype.
Oh, there you go. That should be
Yeah,
a name of a book.
I
Okay.
know. Just a woman and her red cabbage having like a solo romance summer.
Love that. Very good. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Moving on to Erica.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Erica. I'm from the north of Sweden, so I'm in Umeå. And I work with a lot of different things, but the main thing is I started with cyanotype a couple of years ago, and then I worked with pinhole most of the time. But now I also work with Polaroid decay and emulsion lift and photograms. So
Wow.
I'm just, sometimes I feel like I'm all over the place,
That's the great thing about alternative photography is there's so many different processes. It would be really difficult to just pick one.
Yeah, exactly. And then I mix it up with the embroidery. So that's kind of one of my things that I mixed
Excellent.
all these techniques with embroidery.
Very cool. You will hopefully like the interview that we have for this next month. There's an element of embroidery in cyanotypes and Polaroid. So
Ah, yeah, that's
very
nice.
cool. All right, well,
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you for joining. And then the last person we have is Kate. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Kate. My pronouns are she, her. I'm in the UK. I'm quite a beginner. I've done a few cyanotypes. There's lots of things to try. I'd like to try. I also feel like maybe I'm a bit all over the place. And yeah, embroidery is one of the things I'd really like to try next as well. I was just thinking about finding an image today. I bought some thread the other week. I also just booked onto a Polaroid lifting course. So as I say, a bit all over the place.
Excellent. It sounds like Polaroid lifting is very popular at the moment. So maybe I will have to find an artist to do some interviews with or something so that we have more of them on the website. But welcome, Kate. It's so great to have you here. Welcome to everyone. And welcome to anyone who is just sort of joining from the recording, who's listening to the recording. I know that we do have a lot of people who are in different time zones, so they can't necessarily join us live, but then they watch it back later. And I have had a few emails from people saying that they're maybe going to join us later. So welcome to everyone. It is so great to have you here. Let me, I guess I'll do a little intro too. I'm Lizzie. I'm based at the moment in America, sort of Pacific Northwest, and I'm originally from England. So I kind of flip-flop back and forth every few months or so. And my favorite process that I like working with, gosh, this is a really hard question. Why did I ask everyone this? I think mine at the moment, I'm just about to teach a sustainable photography class at Western Washington University. And so I'm practicing using phytograms. So I'm kind of sort of dipping my toes in that at the moment. So I'm really enjoying phytograms. I haven't used it in any of my practice before, but just sort of testing the waters. So I do really enjoy that process right now. But let me share my screen and we can get to the next thing. Okay, let's make that bigger. Okay, so yeah, the next thing I wanted to share with you was oh, it's done it again. How annoying. You can all still see the screen, right? With the presentation? Yeah, okay. Hopefully it lets me go to the next slide again. So the next interview that we have, hopefully I will be making it live next week, is Tatiana Lopez, who's this incredible visual anthropologist that I kind of discovered through, I think it was like Lens Scratch or something like that. There was an article that I found and which had her practice on it. And Tatiana's from Ecuador and is working with indigenous communities and using a combination of different processes. So a lot of it is talking about sort of oral histories. And so there's some sort of audio elements to the work. There's documentary photography, there's cyanotype, there's embroidery, there's Polaroids. It's sort of this very just exploring lots of different things, and the work is just so beautiful, and I can't wait to share it with you all. So if you aren't already following us on Instagram, then please do follow us on Instagram so that you can find out more about Tatiana's work. And if you are not signed up to our newsletter yet, please sign up to our newsletter so that you can be sent the link when the interview is live. It is really wonderful, the work that Tatiana is doing, and I'm so just excited to get to share it with you all. So please follow along. I'm hoping to make it live next week, but if not, it'll be soon. All right, let's see if it'll let me change slides. No, it won't let me do it. How annoying. Let me try this again. Sorry to everyone for all the technical difficulties. I really don't know why it's doing this. Okay, let's make it big. Okay, change slide. Okay, perfect. So I wanted to kind of update everyone on some new things that are happening with Women Alternative Photography Group. If you have been following us for a while, we do the interviews every month, so hopefully you're familiar with those. We do Instagram takeovers. If you're ever interested in doing a takeover, please get in contact with me and we can get it set up. They're really informal. It's kind of, you just kind of post whatever you want. You get access to the account for the week, so you can post anything about your own work. You can share other people's work. It's kind of a nice way to showcase the members of our community. And also, so we all get to learn about all the incredible work that's being made right now. But I also wanted to create a monthly newsletter for any events or exhibitions or publications or anything you're doing that you'd like to share with the community or just to celebrate. I have a lot of people contacting me being like, hey, can you share this exhibition? Can you share this conference? Can you share this? I just kind of wanted to make a little bit more of a formal way of doing that, so that if there's anything that you want to announce to the Women Alternative Photography group community that you'd like to kind of promote your events or just share what you're doing, I'm going to put together a form that I'll send around in the newsletter, and I'll probably put it on the Instagram as well. And then you can kind of update us on what's going on, and I can share it in the newsletter. Looks like we have something in the chat. Just a second. Oh, excellent. Okay, so you're going to be hosting an open studio. Very cool. That is exactly the kind of thing that we would like to share. So we can put that in the newsletter, and it'll basically be, I think, just sort of like a Google document, and you can just sort of add in, like links and images or any info, and I can start sharing that on the newsletter. And I also might be able to hopefully share it on Instagram as well, if I can kind of figure out how to navigate all of that. But I just thought it'd be so great for us to be able to kind of share with each other what we're all doing. And so that maybe we can start going to each other's events if we happen to be in the country, or, that kind of thing. So, so yeah, if you would like to participate in that, I'll probably send out a newsletter, I think, with all the links so that everyone knows how to access everything. And then I'll aim to do it for the first one will be July. So if anyone is interested in that, please keep your eyes peeled for a newsletter, hopefully coming probably next week sometime. Okay. And then just because, in the spirit of sharing, if there is anything right now that anyone would like to share, obviously we have this workshop that you were just mentioning in the Netherlands. Is there anything that anyone else would like to share, or that you have any upcoming exhibitions that you want to talk about, or workshops, or a book launch, or just any successes you've had or new projects you're starting? If there's anything anyone wants to share, please let us know. You can put it in the chat, or if you want to just turn your mic on, that's good too. Also totally understandable if I know I put you all on the spot, so no worries if no one has anything to share right this second. Okay, so no
Yeah,
worries.
but I can
Go ahead.
share. Yeah, I'm going to show 3 works at the Sorno Festival Alternative. It's in Skopje. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the Macedonian. So it's going to be, I don't know when the opening is. I don't remember the date, but it's soon. So hopefully I will share it on my Instagram later on.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Very cool. So if you wanted to send any info for that, I can put it in the newsletter, but congratulations. That's amazing. Okay. Is there anything else anyone wants to share, or should we move on quickly to the next thing? Okay. So I will move on to the next thing. The other thing that I wanted to sort of open up to the community is to create this list that I sent around in the email of any artists that are inspiring you right now. Who is it that you're looking at? Like, who are the people that have either, really had an impact on the way that you are making work, or you just really love the processes that they're using, or you're just like, wow, that's so cool. I just thought it'd be cool to create like a list of who these artists are, so that we have a reference point that we can kind of go to. And I'm thinking of putting this maybe on the website so that anyone can kind of access it. And it'll just kind of be like a continuous list that we create over time, and hopefully it will get really, 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 really long, and we'll have this massive long sort of document that people can go to if they are in need of inspiration, or they just want to kind of explore and do research. And also I was hoping to use it as well for in case we have sort of a situation like we have this quarter, this meetup, where there weren't anyone who wanted to do a presentation. So just so that we can still celebrate and sort of advocate for these women, trans and non-binary artists, so that we can share them in these meetings as well. So if there is any of them, I sent the link around a couple days ago, but I will probably put it in a newsletter as well, and I'll probably put it on the website. And so if there is anyone that if any women, trans or non-binary artists that you just feel like you would like to share in this list, then please feel free to add it to the Google Doc. It will be kind of, like if you see that someone else has already put it on there, no need to put it on there twice. But I just thought it'd be really cool for us to kind of create this list of people that are inspiring us as a space for us to sort of celebrate them, but also so that we can use it within our own research as well. So specifically, we're looking at people using alternative photography, but that can be really anything, as far as, it could be collage, it could be cyanotype, it could be using embroidery, any of those kind of things that are exploring alternative photography in exciting and new ways. So I just want to let everyone know about that. And then, yeah, so we did have a few people kind of adding in to the list already. So thank you if you were one of those people that added in an artist. I also added in a few as well. So I thought I'd do just like a little presentation on some of these artists so that we can start to get excited about them and learn more about their work. The first one that I wanted to share with you is Isabella Pluta. Does anyone know Isabella Pluta's work? Maybe if you want to like raise your hand or put in the chat. It's Isabella Pluta is one of the people I'm using for my case study, so I put Isabella in the list for this one. Isabella is originally from Poland, but she's currently based in Australia. And so just a little bit a bio about Isabella. She is an artist whose practice has developed like this unique visual language. She's really working with sort of these like massive installations. If you've ever get to see her work in person, the exhibitions look incredible. And they're dealing with themes of sort of globalization and migration. And this is like directly comes from her own experience of migration. When she was very young, she was living in Poland and she had to leave and is now based in Australia. And so her work is very much sort of encompasses these themes and looks at lots of different things, but is also kind of working with documents and incorporating those into her work as well. So this is one of the images that I wanted to share with you, which is a cyanotype that was created from an over-air pursuit of likeness is the title. But it's created from images that her father took of the clouds when they were in the airplane flying, flying from Poland to Australia. So on the day that they migrated, her father took these images out of the airplane window of these clouds. And so what Isabella has done is she's taken these images and she's been inspired by this book, which I have an image for you in a second, sort of these cloud studies. So the text that you see here is sort of directly from this book that she's used. And she's layered these images, she's printed them on cyanotype, she's ripped them up, she's added them back together. So it becomes sort of this cyanotype collage layering with text and image. And they become, these are like really just like textural and beautiful images, sort of discussing, this migration movement that took place for her, this transition from Poland to Australia, and kind of questioning that process and what that was like for her. I think I have some more images here. And so these images are printed really large. I believe she shows mostly the digital representations of them because I think a lot of them are ripped and then placed back together and then I think digitized. But perhaps that's something I'll have to look up. I think there's she might also show the originals as well. But this is the book that she was sort of inspired by, that she got from like a thrift store, that kind of explores the various different cloud studies or cloud-like formations and how that is used within these images that her father created. And so a lot of her work is sort of uses encyclopedias and dictionaries and various different sort of books. And then she includes those within her own work, including maps as well. So I really strongly suggest checking out Isabella's work. I have a few quotes from her from when I interviewed her. And so Isabella says this work was really about how she could visually, through the work, try and invoke a certain attempt to put one and another together, a sense of searching and trying to locate something that was correct or legible to understand something about the journey. So this project for her was really about trying to explore and understand what that migration journey was and what it meant to her. This is a slightly longer one, so let me move this down here for a second. So there's an association with what happens when you tear a precious photograph. And why is that? Is it that you were trying to remove something from one's memory? It has a level of catharsis. I experience a cathartic relationship when you are very methodically working out how things fit together, trying to find a particular cloud, trying to understand your place and your movements through something. It had a double intention, and I think that's good. It's a kind of uncomfortable position for me to be in, but it is an acknowledging that there is a sort of discomfort with that way that I feel about the journey and the connect or disconnect that I have with Poland. So it's talking about this like cathartic act of making this, the process of creating the work becomes a part of the work itself, and sort of a therapeutic approach to kind of trying to understand this migration experience. So I think she talks really wonderfully about how, photographs are so precious and we usually keep them in these, beautiful frames, and we hang them on walls and we look at them. And so then what does that mean when she's physically ripping them? What does that mean when she's tearing them apart, and how that kind of reflects the migration experience? So that is Isabella's work. The next artist I wanted to share with you was Maria Martinez Cañas. Maria is a really, really wonderful artist from Cuba, who is also an immigrant. So these two were my artists that I was bringing to the list, who was also one of my case studies for my PhD. And let me get the artist bio up. So Maria was born in Cuba, and so it really deals with sort of her Cuban heritage, but she actually only ever spent like 3 months in Cuba as a baby. Like she left when she was very, very, very young, because of I believe it was Fidel Castro at the time. Sort of, she ended up being exiled from Cuba and then moved to Puerto Rico, and is now based in Miami. So she was only there for 3 months. So she primarily grew up in Puerto Rico, but she graduated from the Philadelphia College of Arts with her Bachelor of Fine Arts in 1982. She's also done her master's and in Chicago. And she's one of those artists that has just like such a wealth of work, such an incredible amount of work to like explore. But the work that I want to share with you today is this sort of map making. And she uses this very unique process that I just absolutely am obsessed with. I think it's so cool. So let me see. Here's an example. So these images, you might sort of look at them and be like, is that a photograph? Like, how is that a photograph? But what she's done here is she's using this process with rubylith and what's the other, rubylith and I can't remember the other word, but it's a printmaking process which uses sort of this film that kind of acts like a red light when you're in the dark room. And so she sort of slices and cuts up this rubylith to create these shapes, to create her own negatives. So she also includes other negatives from like, your traditional sort of 35 mil neg, or medium format, your analog negs. And so she combines these negs with her handmade negs, and then also as well as like onion skins, and like there's a project she uses where she's using sort of dust, and she creates these really fascinating images and compositions using this amberlith and rubylith. Oh, it was amberlith. That was the other word I was looking for. Amberlith and rubylith process to create sort of these maps. And I think they're just really gorgeous. What she creates with these sort of fictional spaces that she's creating in these, and they're massive, they're really big prints that she sort of rolls out on the floor. So she's creating her own negatives. And when I was interviewing Maria, she was talking about how she's a Cuban-born, Puerto Rican-raised American citizen. And a lot of this work is sort of her trying to navigate her identity as a Cuban person who doesn't have any memories of being in Cuba. So for Maria, it was, that moment she left when she was really, really young. And so it's sort of this exploration of like who who is like, what is her identity as someone who had to leave, was forced to leave her home country. So really beautiful work. Here's sort of the process, which I think is so fascinating. So this is the negative that she's created. So this is sort of this rubylith film that I was talking about. And then you can kind of see like the tape of where she's sort of taped on these like negatives to kind of create these like big collage negatives. And then this is what the final image looks like in the end. So hopefully you guys can all see the detail in that. They're really, and then it's just sort of like a big piece of a sheet of darkroom paper. And so she takes these into the darkroom and exposes them like photograms, creating these maps, which are really cool. So she's talking about how these maps are self-reflective and maps are not the territory that it represents, you know. So she was sort of saying like how images are images of the thing, they're a representation of the thing, but they are not the thing. So these maps will never be the countries that they represent. They are just sort of this very self-reflective reflection of her identity and this Cuba and her home country. And so this is the last artist that I wanted to share with everyone today. Did anyone, this was Alice, who is part of the Sustainable Darkroom in England. Who added this one into the list? Are they here today? Was it you, Karen? Excellent. I love Alice's work, and I've had the pleasure of being on one of her workshops. So I'm so glad that you put Alice on here today. Alice is based in the UK. Well, she's actually sort of based between the UK and New York at the moment. But she's an artist. If you haven't heard of Alice or the work that the Sustainable Darkroom are doing, they're doing some really incredible work. She's also doing her PhD, and she's looking at photographic metals and colonialism, looking at sort of like these sites of ecological crisis, creating sort of an alternative archive of film photography's history. Really, really fascinating photographer and just such a wonderful and lovely human being. So hopefully if you ever get a chance to be on one of her workshops, they are really fun and really just like insightful. So please do check out Alice's work. I selected some images from this project that she did that's talking about the history of Kodak. So Kodak is obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, a massive photography company that produces film and paper and a lot of sort of these photographic things that we need to buy. So they're a big, big, big thing. And so I believe, I think this is maybe part of her PhD research. I'm not 100% sure on that. But a research project nonetheless, where she went to investigate the impact of Kodak. So this series is sort of examining the ecologies that absorb and withstand the extensive chemical pollution from Kodak industrial sites in Rochester, New York. So she physically went to New York, I believe, and was sort of exploring how this industry, what we use for photography, has had such a negative impact on the environment. And so she's looking at the chemical pollution specifically that has occurred from Kodak itself. So she has these images of, I believe that this might be an image of there's sort of like a site where there's a lot of the, what's the word I'm looking for? It might be on the next slide. Let me see. Yeah, the landfill. Landfill was the word I was looking for. So a landfill with all of these toxic, you know, products of what Kodak has sort of created. And so these images are then developed using plant-based developers. So they're darkroom prints that are created in the darkroom with analog cameras, and then they're, instead of using sort of these more traditional toxic developers, she's created plant-based developers to process the film. So Kodak's atmospheric and heavy metal pollution was extreme, and today its main toxic landfill takes the form of a gated lawn, covered hill, flanked by highways and 2 residential homes. So I believe that's what the previous image was. And then also this is George Eastman's mansion and gardens, who I believe owns Kodak, I'm pretty sure, or owned Kodak. Let's see. Yes, okay, so yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So the city that Kodak built, this is the title of the work, The City That Kodak Built, is a series of printed with plant photochemistry made from sweet pea growing from outside the gates of the landfill. Also, lawn cuttings were taken, so like grass was used as well to create these developers from Kodak's founder, George Eastman. So really fascinating body of work. And I think what Alice is doing really well is sort of investigating these sustainable approaches and sort of low toxic approaches to working with analog photography. If you are not aware of Sustainable Darkroom, please do go check them out. They're an incredible community and charity that are raising awareness for these more sustainable approaches. And Alice is one of the people that is involved with that project. So please do check that out. Okay. So that was just a quick sort of introduction to some of these artists that we're going to have on this list. I didn't want to do all of them today, just in case we want to do some more later on. So please do add any of those artists to that list so that we can kind of build this catalog and start introducing people to these incredible artists. I mean, today we just had 3. We looked at the work of Alice Cazenave, which I apologize if I'm pronouncing any of this wrong, Maria Martinez Cañas, and Isabella Pluta, who are just 3 really international photographers who are using these processes in very different ways, and to talk about very different issues, which I think is fascinating. So we're sort of looking at the migration journey, we're looking at sustainability, we're looking at identity, that kind of thing. So I think it's really wonderful how we can use these processes to sort of talk about our ideas and our themes and all of that. So hopefully that was, hopefully you are now introduced to 3 new artists, or maybe 1 or 2 of those you were familiar with. But hopefully we can kind of start to create this list and learn more about the women, trans, and non-binary artists that are out there in the world using alternative photography. So I think we're going to end there. Is there anything that anyone wanted to add? Were there any questions that anyone had? You can put it in the chat, or you can put it not necessarily about the artist, but just anything in general that we've talked about today. If you have any questions, you can always just turn your mic on if you want to. Okay. So I will just say a massive thank you to everyone who came today. Thank you to everyone who's joining online. Hopefully, that was inspiring. Normally what we do is we have people come and present their own work, and so we can kind of have an informal sort of crit kind of a thing. But this month we didn't have anyone, which is absolutely fine. I know lots of people are very busy at the moment. So if you ever do want to share your practice in this space, it's a really lovely opportunity to kind of chat with people about your work, and it's super. Yeah, maybe next time. I think it'll be, it doesn't have to be anything finished and complete. It doesn't have to be anything that's, been published in some fancy magazine or anything like that. It can just be something that you're working on if you're testing out an idea. If you have any questions about something and if you're working on a project or something, you can get some feedback. So completely up to you what you share. It's very open to you. But if you do have anything that you would like to get feedback on or share with the community, then that's what these spaces are for, so we can all learn from each other. So thank you everyone for coming. Please make sure to check out next month's interview with Tatiana Lopez, it's going to be an incredible one. I'm really, really excited for that. If you do have any women, trans, or non-binary artists that you would like to add to the list, I will send the link around if you haven't already got it. So please add your names to that list. And if you have any events or workshops or exhibitions or anything like that that you would like me to share with the community in the newsletter or on Instagram, let me know. I'll also send the link around with the document for that, probably early next week, probably like Monday or Tuesday. So I think that's everything. Thank you everyone for coming. And it was so lovely to get to see some of you. And I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day and weekend, and hopefully see you in the next one. Bye everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.